The number one thing I get asked as a self-published children's book author is, how much did it cost to make your book? Let's dive into it. First time I made a children's book, watch out, it's a potato salad monster. I didn't realize how much in the weeds I was until I got in there. And I'm hoping for this video that I can sort of give you a breakdown of what it costs to create the book, just the final product. I'm not talking about marketing, printing costs, distribution. This is specifically just to create a book with the team. So after this, I'm hoping that you'll have a better insight into how much it costs to create your children's book. Keep in mind the cost will vary depending on many different factors, which I'll get into. But I hope this video is helpful, and like and subscribe and also leave some comments. It really helps with the algorithm. Let's get into it. Number one is going to be hiring an editor. And I highly suggest you do so because you just don't know what you don't know. And you may think you have the greatest story in the world, but then an editor will see it and they'll quickly convince you that it's not. But the good news is that their feedback is always constructive and it'll end up with a better product in the end. And if you really want to invest in yourself, I highly suggest you do it. Editors come in all different shapes and sizes. There's developmental editors who will look at the beats of your story and individual scenes, and then they'll give you recommendations to make it flow better or to change a way a character interacts with someone. And all of this holistically makes your story better. There's also proofreading, which, before it goes out, you really want someone to proofread your work, make sure there's no typos, and make sure everything is good to go. Now, my editor charged me for the first round of revisions $100. This is converted from US. They were out of Ireland, but I ended up just paying $100 Canadian for the first round. She gave valuable feedback, stuff that I really thank her for. And she was really kind with the feedback. So don't think you're just gonna get, dragged through the mud and they're gonna poo-poo your idea. That's not the case. You really need these people in your corner. After that, I implemented her revisions and her suggestions. She did another read through and that cost $14.28. So overall, for 2 revisions is $114.28. Next, I want to talk concept art. Now, this may or may not apply to you because a lot of illustrators, bake this into their process and in their price. But in my case, I had a concept artist out of Indonesia, and he had an amazing knack for creating characters, but he just wasn't experienced enough to create a 32-page end product. So I still wanted to invite him into this process, and I hired him to do 4 character designs on just a plain white background, and that came to $63.77. Now, the characters he created, which included the original potato salad monster design, went to inform my illustrator on how to proceed with the art style. All right, so let's talk the biggest expense of your children's book, and that is going to be your illustrator. And there's just no getting around that. The reason is because for a 32-page children's book, an illustrator is going to spend 3 to 4, even 6 months of their lives in some cases to make sure that your vision comes to life. Now, that is no small feat for anybody, and especially if they have no stake in it. So it's important that you pay your artist accordingly. Usually they have a page rate, so they'll determine that with you. There's also other deals you can hash out. If you want to own the rights to your work, they may charge more. If you want to split the profits or they have some sort of ownership over their art, that also may affect the price. And their experience level as well. All these things factor into, what deal you work out with them. So my illustrator was out of Ireland and also has roots in Brazil, and he charges in euros. And so with all of these, it's important to understand what the conversion is going to be, because this actually can really affect your project if you're in somewhere like Canada, and the conversion to US or euro is atrocious. So keep that in mind. But, for a 32-page book, everything costs $4,377. Now keep in mind, baked into this price is bonuses. And that's another thing I want to touch on, because you don't have to do this, but I really suggest you do, because it establishes a wonderful working relationship. And it also, helps to ensure that your project is completed. It doesn't have to be much, but what I offer is €100 for a midway completion bonus, and then an additional €100 for a final completion of the project, which means I have all the files and I am happy with them. Keyword, happy with them. So why is this important? Is because My artist loves to work with me because it's not something I had to do, but it's a gesture of appreciation and really builds a strong working relationship. He's excited when I reach out for new books because he knows that I go above and beyond to pay him what he's owed. And I really respect the artist for putting in all this time and delivering a project that realized my vision. So I'm happy to pay those fees. You don't have to do it, but I think it's just good practice. All right, now once the art is done, it is time to format your book. And this is something that caught me off guard when it was my first time, because I just thought like the words and the art all came baked together. And sometimes it is depending on the artist, so that all depends on the deals you work out. My artist specifically focused on the art, and so with those files, I hired a formatter who would then put the words from my script to the beautiful art, and it creates that final reading experience. Also the cover, she made the amazing sort of gooey graphics on the Watch Out It's Potato Salad Monster words, for instance. Now, it's important for you to understand that it's really hard to understand the sizing of these final layouts, and having it prepared in a way that Kindle Direct Publishing will accept it, which is in PDF format. And you have to understand the sizings and things like that. So the formatter is going to help. I'll put that together along with your script to make it a big, beautiful book. And my formatter was out of the United States, so she charged in US dollars. But overall, that came to $1,170.76. So that gets added to the project total. But she's great. And I wouldn't publish a third book because I have a second book, but I wouldn't publish my third book or any of the other ones if I didn't have the exact same team to deliver the exact same quality, because consistency throughout your series is so important. One final cost that I want to touch on before I tally everything up is something that may or may not apply to you, and that's revisions. Now, it was my first go at making a children's book, and I made mistakes along the way. Some of these weren't communicated properly to the artist, so it wasn't the artist's fault. And this wasn't included in their scope. So when I had to find out that, one of my monsters weren't appearing in one of the games where you had to find, a certain amount of monsters, that made the game impossible. So I had to go back and get that monster added, or the sizing wasn't correct and he needed to add a bit more of the scene, like draw some new parts of the scene to make it fit. Now, this cost me $69.49, but my tips for this is to make sure that your storyboards are ironed out. So like, make sure your storyboard is as close to your vision, so your team can both know exactly what you want. And it's going to prevent you from getting these random mistakes, because these things add up if they keep happening. Luckily, I only had 2, but it would have cost me a lot more if I did like 5 or 6. Finally, we're going to tally all of this up, and keep in mind, none of this considers things like printing costs, distribution, and marketing. This is only to make sure your book is created. So if I tally up, everything from the editor, the concept art, the illustrator, the formatting, and the last minute revisions, everything came to 5,796 Canadian. So is that a lot? Yeah, that's a lot of money. And I'm not a rich person. I really had to sacrifice and make sure I paid this. But it was important for me to have a book that I was proud of, that I can show my kid, but also share with other people's kids, because kids are our future and they deserve to have the best work possible. And so that's your job as a creator, is to make sure the reading experience is as good as possible. So even though I spent, almost $6,000 on this project, I'd still do it again. And I have, because I'm just addicted to it. The process was tough, it was long, but the outcome is priceless when you see kids sending you photos of them reading it, or going to schools and seeing your kids screaming because they love your characters so much. It's a priceless feeling I want you to enjoy. And whatever you're doing in your project, I hope you get to the end of it, but make sure you enjoy the process along the way. That's my final tip. Like, there's so much to learn, and the joy of having that final book get delivered to your door is priceless. So if you thought this was informative, subscribe, like the video, all that stuff. You can even consider buying some of my books. But yeah, I'm really happy to help you along your journey, and hopefully you'll stick around for more. See ya.